Hi, You Can Heal family. It is Tuck in Time, and we are back together again. And we are reading through the book Destiny by T.D. Jakes. We are on chapter 16 tonight, and it's titled Exposed to Destiny, Step Boldly into Life's Adventures. Have you missed Tuck in Time? Well, without further ado, right, we're going to get started and just get right into it. Hopefully you've had a wonderful day, you've settled in, you've got your jammies on, and now you're just ready to sit back and listen to something good, get down in your spirit, and that will help you move forward towards your destiny. If you have not purchased this book, that's okay. I'm reading it to you. Maybe like a video by T.D. Jakes. I used to say that all the time before I started. But no, as I read, I might comment on some things, or if something comes to mind, then I'll share that. But we'll just let the Spirit move and see what God has for us and how He's going to use this book to help heal us and to help grow us and to help move us towards our destiny. So are you ready? Let's begin. Chapter 16, Exposed to Destiny. Step boldly into life's adventures. The key to completing your journey to destiny is to resist the urge to retreat into the familiar spaces of the past. In a new space, yesterday can look pretty good because it's familiar. But could you go back to yesterday? It would be not as warm, wonderful, and as inviting as you think. You remember the comfort and security of the good old days, but if you went back to the home where you grew up, you probably find the rooms barely big enough to move around in. No kids playing kickball in the streets like you and your friends used to, and the nearest grocery store lacking your favorite brand of organic coffee. During an attack of loneliness, you want to go back to your old boyfriend, but remember, he's threatened by people who have more education than him. He brags about himself ad nauseum, and his mother controls every aspect of his life. Frustration with the feast or famine existence of starting a business makes you long for your old job's steady paycheck. But recall that paycheck wasn't really that great. Your boss criticized your, hold on, I just got distracted because I was looking for my little highlighter. So I'll just use this if I need to. Well, actually this. All right, sorry about that. So let's go back. But recall that the paycheck wasn't really that great. Your boss criticized your reports, and the petty conversations in staff meetings made you want to scream. Ignore the tendency to glamorize what you left behind. If the place you left had been all that great, you wouldn't have moved out of it to answer destiny's call. Yeah, don't let the things like in the past, like you remember one good thing, so it brings you back. And I know for me, like staying in relationships too long is because I was remembering all the good times or the good moments and, dismissing all the things that made me want to move forward away from the relationship in the first place. So just keep that in mind as you're healing. And if you're in a situation or a relationship that is questionable, look at how that person makes you feel in their presence. Don't try to force anything, because you can't change people. You can't say when they change, then everything will be fine and I'll be okay, because that person may never change. And then you're going to be suffering longer than you need to be. Amen? So maybe that will help somebody. All right? Not yet arriving at your destination can cause you to glamorize even an unhappy past, and then to doubt where you are headed. You begin to wonder if you really have what it takes. Put that to rest right now. You have everything you need at the time you need it. Where you used to be does not indicate where you are going. You had what you needed for then, and you have what you need now. You gained the lessons you needed from where you were then. Now It's time to move on. It's time to move on. And don't come down on yourself for, oh, I wish I would have done this different or that different, or would have been strong enough to do this or that. No, you were where you were because that's just where you were, and you did the best you could. You did the best you could. So let that go. Forgive yourself and move forward. The gulping ministry. We're gulping for Jesus, right? We're running hard and fast after him. We're like a deer panting for the word of God. And we got to bring God into this, because without him, I know T.D. Jakes couldn't have written this book. I wouldn't be able to read this book, because he gives me the breath in my body. Praise the Lord. Let go of what was in your past and let it stay there. Be thankful for your memories. Be grateful for the lessons learned, even the hard ones. Feel relief that the bad experiences are over and that you survived them. Keep moving, because you can't walk forward while looking back. You can't walk forward while looking back. There is so much more of life for destiny to unfold. There is so much more of life for destiny to unfold to you. Give destiny a chance. Make room for your present. You need all that energy you devote to glamorizing your past to learn the lessons you need to thrive in your present and excel in your future. As uncomfortable as you may feel moving away from what's familiar, know that God is positioning you for purpose. Unfolding new places, people, and experience, God's destiny for you is exciting and life-changing. Why try to go back? Don't go back. Keep going forward. Let's keep going forward, You Can Heal family. Even when things seem hard, even when you seem afraid, don't let that stop you. Let's go to new places, new experiences. Let's move forward together, right? We're moving forward together, We're moving forward together, You Can Heal family. That's what we're doing. Okay, the next section is exposure is your test drive for destiny. Have you ever seen a car in a commercial or on a dealership lot that decided to take one for a test drive and you have decided to take one for a test drive to check it out? You look at the sticker price and then sit in the driver's seat. You drive it to see how it performs on the road. While you're test driving, you think about how the seat feels and whether it has enough leg room. If the car meets all your physical requirements, you inquire about financing and monthly payments. Then you make a decision whether or not to buy it. Maybe you can't afford the car, but just having the driving experience may be enough to motivate you to work harder to make the car yours someday. Or perhaps you decide that everything you've heard about the car is hype and you really don't like it. Gaining exposure is like a test drive on a car. You enter a new arena and you see if it's a fit. Yeah, you won't know if you really like it till you test drive it, right? Gaining exposure is like the test drive on a car. You enter the new arena and see if it fits. You see what it cost you to be in that environment and determine whether you want to pay the price. You make inquiries in your new environment just like you would about the car and find out all that you can. You have to work your way into the feel of what God is exposing you to. Just like you work your way into the feel of a new car, you ask yourself, does this lifestyle fit me? When it doesn't fit your needs or your self-image, you know to keep looking. Now now this is what I'm thinking. When it comes to relationships, I always did this. Oh, you want to be with me? Okay, you can be my boyfriend. And there you have it. I had a new boyfriend or a new situationship because that's what they wanted. I never really took the time to be like, is this the type of person I want in my life? Just because someone paid attention to me, oh, I better take that one, right? No, we're not going to do that anymore. We're not going to do that anymore on this channel. We're not going to do that anymore. We need to really know what it is no, let's back up. We need to know who we are. If you know who you are, then you'll have a better chance of making sure that you're choosing the right person. But ultimately, we want God's best and God's will. So pray. Pray, pray, pray. If you are in that space right now in your life where you've done your healing work and you're ready and you're looking for a relationship, just vet the person. And just because someone likes you doesn't mean you have to like them. Just because they want to be with you doesn't mean you have to be with them, right? Exposure broadens your thinking. You realize the world, I skipped a paragraph. Exposure is empowering because it can mold, shape, and change you. You are the sum total of your exposure. You think the way you do based on what you've been exposed to. You think the way you do based on what you've been exposed to. The clothes you wear, even the way you wear your hair, is largely due to exposure. Exposure broadens your thinking. You realize the world is much bigger than where you grew up, and that you can navigate the larger world. Exposure teaches you that there is more than one way of doing things, and that there is not necessarily right or wrong, just different. I remember I took my older two kids, I think back to where I grew up in the complex, and there was this, I grew up in this apartment complex throughout middle school, up to middle school. And everybody had their bikes, and we used to pretend that we would go to this garage. It was like a tree, and then it had like a tree stump, so we would pretend we would pump our gas there, put gas in our bikes, right? And when I drove back and was showing the kids, like, that whole area just looked so different. It looked so different. It looked bigger when I was a child. And then going back there and looking at it then, I was like, wow. It's just different. The world's different. Things change. What I was exposed to since being a child and going back, it made that fake gas station look really small. Exposure teaches you that there is more than one way of doing things, and that there is not necessarily right or wrong, just different. For instance, after Americans visit other countries, they often remark, over there they drive on the wrong side of the road. Actually, they drive on the opposite side of the road. The way traffic moves in England is not wrong. It's different from the United States. Exposure teaches you that many life decisions are about choosing differently. Many life decisions are about choosing differently rather than some universal imperative that requires people to live a certain way. Those who have a great deal of exposure tend to be more open and less judgmental because they have chosen to challenge their thinking and make themselves vulnerable to new ideas and new experiences. That's good. But these are the very same reasons some people prefer not to be exposed to new thoughts or ideas. Exposure is a choice. You can choose to take the job offered to you in the international division of the company where you work, or you can stay where you are with the same people, living in the same house, eating the same food, driving the same route to work every day. But you don't have to travel halfway around the world to broaden your exposure. You can broaden yourself by taking a class in culinary arts, or ballroom dancing, or sculpting, learning a new language, or cultivating a new hobby. Exposing yourself to new knowledge and experiences is a choice that you make to not live in the confines that once nurtured you. I remember taking ballroom dancing lessons, and it was wonderful. It was when my two older kids were younger, and I made time out because I always wanted to learn how to ballroom dance. I was doing the foxtrot, and that's the one that stands out, the foxtrot. I loved the foxtrot. And of course the instructor hypes you up. Oh yeah, you can go all the way. You can enter competitions. I mean, I really believed I was going to just be a professional ballroom dancer. But it was such a great experience just learning. I know what was good about it. Learning to be held by the partner, which was the man, right, in the foxtrot, and being leaded and guiding and trusting. And it was a way that a man was touching me, but it was in a healthy, pure, way. We were just dancing. It was really good. It was really good for me at that time in my life. And I think that was during the time I had like this 7-year stretch where there was no men, there was no nonsense going on. It was just me and my 2 kids and Jesus. And we had that was the best 7 years of my life, honestly. And the ballroom dancing was a big healing part of that for me. As already mentioned, once you are exposed to new ideas and experiences, you're not going to be embraced by the camp that used to affirm you. Most won't have the capacity to cheer you on, to learn more and do more. They'll say, you're still going to school? You're going to be 80 years old before you get a degree. Or, why do you keep working like a slave for that job? Or, you think you're too good for us now. Use such disparaging commentary to motivate you out of the false comfort of mediocrity. Don't let their ignorance discourage you from pursuing destiny. Make a conscious choice to surround yourself with people who make you want to step up your game, to learn more, to do better. Do try to bring along other willing minds when God blesses you with greater exposure. Share it with people who haven't had the benefit of your experience. For example, an up-and-coming young person, just remember, this is not the sole purpose of your exposure. Exposure is all about conscious choices. It's easy to surround yourself with people who know less than you and who haven't had the benefit of your experiences. The way to your future is revealed through your relationships with people who know more than you. Those who've traveled to worlds you have never seen and whose lives have touched others in ways that you can only hope for. When you choose to broaden your horizons, the price may be losing relationships, letting go of long-held family traditions, and feeling discomfort. You may feel like you don't fit in anywhere. New situations are so unfamiliar and you've outgrown the old. You might worry about whether the new people you're meeting will accept you. I kind of felt like that when I was meeting the DDTV family and the Smiles tribe. I was like, wow, these ladies are really, enjoying themselves. I was in the comments observing. So I slowly started commenting, right? I slowly started getting in there. And then one day I was sent over the edge. One day I was driving along with Blessing. That's my daughter who's a senior, if this is your first time listening. And I was listening to Lisa Smiles' video, and they were talking about a chat they were all in together. I had to pull over, and I had to make it known. Listen, here I am, okay? Get me, I want to get in on this, And it wasn't so much I wanted to be in the chat. It was more like you just want to be a part of something, have fellowship, and be surrounded by people who are doing things and who are positive. So, I've just been blessed ever since, since like April. Yeah, I think it was February or April, right? When I started poking around on those channels. So find your people, they're out there, and just knowing that relationships are forming over social media is a beautiful thing, because I don't like social media. I'm not on it. I come on it to make these videos, and then I'm kind of off of it. I don't really, I don't know. It just seems to suck time away for me. I just can't do it. But anyways, that's just a side note. Let's get some water. Yeah, I'm gulping. You gotta take it, right? Even though you're tucked in. Oh my goodness. Okay, maybe you're not as good at this job or as talented as you think. Maybe they won't accept a woman in a supervisory position. Maybe your new in-laws will turn up their noses at you. Maybe your new neighbors will be stuck up or racist. You may have so many unfamiliar and unsettling feelings from this exposure that you will begin to think, maybe I made a mistake. You'll question yourself. Maybe I don't belong in this world, and maybe you don't. But exposure is what teaches you whether you do or not. You may be experiencing anxiety from unfamiliar territory, or you may decide a thing is just not for you. Part of the challenge to gaining more exposure is pushing past the feelings of discomfort as you acclimate to your new environment. Get comfortable with people addressing you as Dr. Blank. Become familiar with current events so you can join the dinner discussion at the future in-laws house. Invest in an appropriate wardrobe for the kinds of events you will be required to attend so you won't feel self-conscious. Relish the benefits of traveling on the company's private jet and the special privileges that come with your new dream job. It's all part of your exposure. When the discomfort of your new environment makes you fearful, ride the wave of feelings long enough to give it a good test drive. Your initial fight or flight responses may tell you to run for your life, but determine to engage your fight response and stay exposed to your new situation until your comfort level increases. Fight through feelings of inadequacy and own the new space. Exposure also helps you know what you don't want. You may have dreamed of being famous, but when you're exposed to a brief look into the cost of fame, you may change your mind. You may decide you prefer the freedom to scroll in the mall uninterrupted and without an entourage, and not mobbed by paparazzi or autograph seekers. You may have dreamed of being an investment portfolio manager, but once you are exposed to what really goes on in the industry, you may realize you have no patience for dealing with the whims of antics of trust fund babies. You may have dreamed of getting a law degree and becoming a district attorney, but with a little exposure, you discover you're better suited for corporate law. You know what, you guys, I wanted to be a juvenile defense attorney first for a long time, and then I went away to school, and I was studying, I was studying communications, just to learn how to speak, and, you know, all that stuff, and then my I was going to have a daughter, so everything changed, but yeah, that's just what I was thinking about when I read that. So you guys know when I read, something comes in my head, and I just might share it with you. You just might get what's going on up there. You may dream of owning your own business, but through exposure, you discover the risk of self-employment do not, for you, match the rewards. Exposure can help you know where you fit or do not fit. That said, give the new arena time before you decide whether it's a fit. First impressions may be based on faulty or incomplete information. It's wonderful that our post-industrial nation has grown to allow us to gain exposure through more than one career. A couple of generations ago, a person who had several careers often was perceived as immature or unstable. Then a person found a job or established a business and did only that for a lifetime. Now we think in terms of multiple streams of income, making money from various fields of endeavors. How do we decide to do this? Exposure. You may work as an accountant for a small corporation. Then, to express your creative side, you might have a small business as a wedding coordinator. You may also blog about dating and relationships. Exposure teaches you that you have multiple talents and can engage in many endeavors, even simultaneously. Choosing exposure will require you to look at things differently and pay attention to life again. Engage, give, read, and pray. Act, sacrifice, think, plan, strategize, assess. Those are good. Let's read that again. Engage, read, give, pray, act, sacrifice, think, plan, strategize, and assess. New experiences, new knowledge, and new environments can completely change your approach to life. Fear excitement, anxiety, nervousness, restlessness, insecurity. These feelings are the price of exposure. All right, so you're going to feel something if you make the decision and the choice to expose yourself to new things. But let's not think of fear and anxiety and nervousness and insecurity anymore as negatives. Let's use those words, if we're feeling those words, to give us that push. Okay, that's what I'm feeling. Okay, that's because I'm a little, nervous about this, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to get it done anyway. I'm going to go for it anyway. There's no way around it. You got to go through those feelings to get to the next place, the next step, the next level we want to be. Whether you click with your new environment or not, your exposure to it is always a blessing. The fact that God has exposed you to something is always a sign that it can be yours. God is exposing you so you can absorb destiny in the deepest part of your soul. Your soul. Breathe in and believe, and let God open the doors to destiny through exposure. Oh my God, my stomach is growling. What in the world? All right, let's read that last thing again. God is exposing you so you can absorb destiny in the deepest part of your soul. Breathe in and believe, and let God open the doors to destiny through exposure. All right, what are you going to expose yourself to? This upcoming weekend, right? Today is what is today? Tuesday, right? But I don't know what day you're watching this or listening. But whatever weekend, whenever the weekend is, or if you're in the weekend or the next weekend coming, what are you going to expose yourself to? What are you going to do different, right? Think about that. I've got my rock. This is my little rock. I think I got this one in, I think I was in Philly. I think we were on a volleyball trip or something, and we went in a little gift shop. But I have rocks everywhere, and I think Bren showed this one on the live this morning. But yeah, get yourself a rock, and if you're feeling anxious, you can let it ground you, right? You can hold on to it. So I always have rocks around. All right, You Can Heal family. That is our tuck-in time for the night. We're going to stop there, and we're halfway through chapter 16. So we'll finish it up next time. And the next section we're on is called Destiny Comes in Pieces. So I hope you enjoyed that reading for tonight. Always remember that true healing begins with self-love. Why? Because God is love, and He lives on the inside of you. We'll talk soon.